no, I could hear you, but I'm putting sugar in the coffee.
Okay. Yeah, your mic went all squirrely. Or
Yeah,
is that? Yeah.
I unplugged it to do this.
Um, yeah, they asked me, have you ever done the like personality assessment?
For a job? No, I don't think so.
So my last job, they had people do it, or they kind of recommend it. They're just like everybody should do it because um, it's more like, oh, you can kind of learn about yourself or whatever. Um, as the 15th fire truck comes by my apartment, this is insane.
Hmm.
Something might actually be on fire outside. Um, but my last job, they basically said like, oh, it's a way to kind of like learn about yourself. So go ahead and like do it. And I never did. But this like job interview or this potential job opportunity, they want people to having a take the personality assessment and then send it in. So I guess I don't know if they use it as like a way to kind of um like segregate how they are like how they hire people. So it could be like, well, Mark, he's a personality type that doesn't like to talk to other people, so we're obviously not going to hire him. But they
Right.
they could they could use that as like cover for other shit where there's just like, well, we wouldn't want to hire him, but in order for us legally to be covered by it, we're just going to say his personality is not what we're looking for, which is why we're refusing him the job, even though he's qualified.
Mhm. But why would anybody be? I guess we could start because this is interesting.
Yeah, I am already recording.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, people are
Okay.
just hearing you putz around in your, your kitchen.
Okay, then I won't
Just
even plug the good mic in because then.
no, you could plug it in. We can just pause for a second when you do, but um, no, because the personality assessment thing is this is my opinion on that kind of stuff, and I kind of hold it to most surveys. Like since I was a kid, I don't think I've ever answered a survey like honestly. I've always just like
Right,
put
that's what I was gonna say. Is I can't like because you know what the right answer is. I have done
yes,
like a when I was like 15 or something applying for like retail jobs at like
yes,
Best Buy or something like that. If that's what you're
yes,
talking about, then it would be like a big questionnaire. Um,
and it's
and
speed
yeah, like
based.
you know what the right answer is. It's like if one of the questions in that thing that's like kind of interesting is like, what would you do if you caught a coworker stealing or something like
Right.
that? And it's like, well, I don't know what I would do in real life, but I know the answer that they're looking for.
Right, and I guess in my mind, and maybe in most people's mind, it kind of invalidates the purpose of it because it's supposed to, I suppose, like weed out the people who would be like, it's totally fine if they steal from the company or whatever. And but I think in reality, you're right. Most people would be like, well, I know the answer is not to let your coworkers steal money from the company you work at. So it's kind
Right.
of
But
like,
what if
what is?
that coworker is like a good friend?
Yeah, exactly.
I
Well,
was gonna say hot, but I didn't. I didn't want
yeah.
to.
What if your coworker's hot and you want to fuck, but also they're not stealing that much money, and most of it is like would be replaced that the business wouldn't even find out. What you do? WID? What are you doing?
Yeah.
But you're right. Like what's interesting about those like things, those like um I don't know, like what would you do in this situation questions is it takes and removes the context out of that situation. It just makes it a very black and white, almost like it was like a 50s movie that has like such a like narrow scope of the story and the good and evil characters that you're just like, well, obviously I'm going to go with this character because they're righteous and all that stuff and they have no flaws, and the evil person is like, terrible and is like hurting people and innocent people and all that stuff. And you're like, well, yeah, the answer is very obvious. And I remember that because I had taken like a Best Buy survey when I was in like high school doing the same thing where it's like
Shout
you
out to
have
Best Buy.
shout out to Best Buy where you have like 40 seconds to answer this question. And I guess the thought is that the quicker you answer, the more correct or the like, I don't know, something where it's like the faster you answer, the better it is because it's like you came to that question. It's like closer to how you feel because it's like, oh, this is what I would do immediately. I wouldn't have to like think about it, which is weird as well.
Right.
Um, but I think the at least the personality assessment, it's based on like whatever the bullshit like INTFG AB thing or whatever, where it's like, you're intuitive and this and that, and it's like, I guess that's could be useful in certain environments, but that's also assuming that the person taking the test is telling the truth. And in those scenarios
Right.
are they ask more personal questions like if you go to a party, are you somebody who's gonna like start talking to other people that you don't know, or are you somebody who's very organized? So it's like the questions could be there aren't necessarily a right answer, like objectively. It's not like is your hot coworker stealing from your company that's illegal. It's more like um, do you like brunettes? And it's just like, well, there's no wrong answer to that, but you could say no or you could say yes, and that answer kind of paints a broader picture of you.
Hmm. And they do ask the same question reworded multiple
Yes.
times, and I think that's so they. I don't know how like what they get a return from that, if it like what if it's like percentages or like a pie
Right.
chart or something. I bet it's a pie chart,
It's
but
definitely a pie chart. A
so they want to
sliding
see like
scale.
consistency, I guess, in your answers.
Yeah, I guess you're right. That is one way that they can kind of
And that's
um,
how they would make their
yeah,
determination.
they would weed out the kind of like false answers or the ones that people are just kind of answering but not really putting thought into.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, you're right because most surveys, maybe they've gotten better at surveys and I just haven't really taken them, or I just flat out ignore them when it's just like, hey, you mind taking a survey? And usually surveys are, 1 to 5, good, good, bad, unsatisfactory kind of thing or whatever. And it's pretty straightforward. Do you ever do I noticed them at like the airport where it's just like rate our cleanliness and it's like a smiley face and a frowny face. I've never done that unless it was like I guess if it was really bad, I might have done a frowny face.
I don't think I've done that. Um, hmm.
But that isn't that also a
I have
circumstance?
done it for like if I have a really good like customer service
Yeah,
experience, like somebody. But also, I don't like the ones that it would be for like a local business. Like say I bought
right.
I don't know like flowers or something from like a Brooklyn flower shop or whatever. I don't know. Write something good on like their Yelp or whatever.
Yeah,
But the ones when you get off the phone after like a half hour with Time Warner or something, and they're like, "And please stay on the line to review my my work or something like that."
right.
You know what I'm talking about? When like
Absolutely.
when the person who helped you asks you to stay, and then I'm like, "Click."
Yeah. And
I'm not gonna do that.
well, also I guess there are two things about that. Like, I think most people are more inclined to write a negative review because it like so adversely affects them that they're like, I have
Mm.
to vent, and one way to vent is to just be like, trash them. I mean, I've definitely done that, but I feel like the positive review is really dependent on how easy it is to leave the review or the survey. Like, unlike your circumstance where you're saying like, oh, you bought flowers from the shop, and maybe they took the time, or you just had a really good connection. Like, I feel like those are so much more rare instances to only like write positive reviews because then you might only write one or two. Whereas I think most people, if they're like, wow, they didn't spit in my food and it was on time, so I'm just gonna give them 5 stars. Um,
Yeah.
but you're right, kind of going back to like the pie chart thing where it's like there has to be a way that they're kind of like analyzing this I do this when I like look at reviews for products that I want to buy or restaurants that I want to go to. I look at the negative reviews and I see what they're negative about. If I go to a
I kind of
restaurant,
do that too. And if
yeah,
they're like, but if they're outweighed, yeah. Well, what is your thought on that?
well, I'll go to the restaurant like a Yelp page or something or whatever, and I'll see what the consistent like negative reviews are. So if a lot of the negative reviews, which more often than not, they have something to do with like delivery, where it's like my delivery was
Yes,
late or it was smushed or whatever.
food was cold. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of has nothing to do with me going to sit down at a restaurant to eat. So I don't, I wouldn't necessarily take those as seriously as like the chicken is like really dry, or it's like the came out cold. We were waiting at our table for an hour. You know, those kind of things. I'd be like, all right. Whereas if I was going to order delivery from them, I'd be like, all right, maybe at least I'm knowledgeable going into this that like the food might not be in the best state given the reviews of their delivery service. So you kind of mix and match a little bit.
Mhm.
What do you do like with the reviews? Do you, because I don't understand people who are like, I only look at the positive reviews because it's like it's so subjective.
Yeah, I usually uh, make a decision for myself if their review is rational or not. Because a lot of times you'll see people who are like completely ridiculous about their expectations, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
I don't know. Amazon is also like that where I don't. Sometimes people get so personal in reviews,
Oh
and
my God.
that's I think my favorite thing. Where like
Yeah.
I looked at a review. This is sort of unrelated, but I looked at a review on Amazon for like a coffee mug once,
Uh-huh.
and there like somebody wrote a review that involved them talking about their divorce for
Oh
some
my
reason.
God.
It was
Yeah.
like this mug was great to have after like or I think it was like a Star Trek mug or something, and I think the guy was like, I lost all my Star Trek stuff in the divorce,
Wow.
and so it was really nice to find this mug,
Oh my God.
and
No,
it was
you
sincere. It wasn't somebody
right.
doing a joke.
No, that is I do love that. And especially some I definitely do this thing where let's say I've done a lot of research on something that I'm gonna buy, like a gadget or whatever, or I'm looking at power tools right now because I need to buy a jigsaw. And once you kind of settle on something and you're like, all right, this is the thing I'm gonna buy. This is the place I'm gonna buy it at. Sometimes I will go through the reviews just to see the positive reviews of like how people use it. For example, like if I bought like measuring tape or whatever, and I go to the review section and it's just like, oh yeah, I was building my
Yeah.
son a tree fort or whatever, and I needed a measuring tape, and all the other ones are gone because my other son took it to his college. I don't know what he needs at a and all of a sudden I'm like, why are we hearing this story about
Yeah.
your family and all this stuff?
I
Um,
found a chart on my son's wall measuring. I don't know what it was measuring, but
yeah, the tangents are the best, and I guess I feel like the best kind of tangents are for the best for like the smallest or even minutia things, because
well,
the
recipes have become that online,
yeah, for
where
sure.
you'll be looking up a recipe for like a stew or something, and it'll open with
Yes.
like, when I woke up this morning, or
Yeah,
the shade, talking about the shade of paint on your shed. It's like,
yeah.
okay, get to the beef, man. I wanna.
My deadbeat husband wanted meatloaf last night, and I told him I didn't have it. So I went to the store and I got it just to shut him up, and he enjoyed it. So thanks, 5 stars. No, you're right. Like I don't know what that is. Like
People
you could say,
trying, it's like a mixture of a blog and a recipe, like they're trying to
yeah.
spice it up a bit.
I guess there is some aspect of it. Like you could say, oh, it's like certain generations will kind of do this more than others. Like people would say older generations might leave reviews that are a little bit more like that. But I don't think that's true because I think maybe more of a certain type of person that feels that um, adding backstory or context to this will make the recipe or the purchase or the food or whatever feel better, and like make the circumstance better for the person who's reading it. And
I
I
agree
think
with that. Yeah.
in their mind they're probably like, I'm genuinely helping someone out. And I think majority of people are just like, yeah, this is a great measuring tape and it's simple. And other people are just like, when I was 19, they made measuring tapes out of wood with little like cuts and they have to get into this expository.
And it hurt you when you measured yourself.
Yeah, exactly. The best is the simpler and kind of like, this is either well made or not well made. Like if you get a like a review on like pens or something, it's just like, here's like a 5-pack of pens. And it's just like, all right, it's pens. You could review it. Obviously, it's either going to write or it's not going to write. So then what is the review about? Is the review about, oh, well, it's a little sharp on the cap, so I didn't like that. Yeah. Or like the clicking, it's not clicking.
The cap it's too hard for me to chew.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's just like,
I can't chew on the cap like I normally do. So don't buy these ones if you have a nervous, gross habit of putting
biting your pens,
utensils in your mouth.
Or it's like the one bad review is just like, I bought these pens and I started using it because I needed it for work and it exploded on my hand. I'll never buy big pens ever again. It's just like, okay, you got a bad batch. It's you got a bad batch. Sorry, bro.
You can't let one pen spoil the pack, right? Isn't that what they say?
Or the brand. They would just be like, no, I'm never buying a Bic pen ever again in my life.
Good luck, because they've got the market corner. Well, it's them and Papermate. Yeah, so exactly. It's a full-on war between them and Papermate.
Your singular boy count isn't going to do shit for their bottom line. In fact, it might help them because people are like, hey, I kind of want a exploding pen. Let me pick up one of these things.
I'm going to prank. I'm George Clooney. I want to prank everybody. George Clooney, famous for his pranks.
Famous for his pranks. And his planks. I mean, you can't look like that without doing a lot of planks in your life.
Of course, yeah.
Do you think he does planks on his face?
No, the face is too precious. I don't think so.
No.
I think he puts on. I think he was wearing those face shields before COVID, just to protect his face.
He was definitely. Do you think he has his face insured? You know, like.
I don't know.
Like boxers will maybe have like their hands insured, or like athletes or famous people will have certain parts of their body that is like critical to their business insured, just in case something bad happens. Whereas if George Clooney was like a dog face, would that ruin his career?
So you're saying what part of him is good actor and what part of him is handsome? It's just a
handsome man. Because I think he to me, he's like the quintessential like throwback Hollywood actor, in the sense of like, he is good looks with talent, but it's hard to draw the line of where the talent ends and where the good looks starts, kind of thing. It's
that's what makes him a desirable actor.
Well, it's a classic, but to me, I think it's a hindrance, because it's like, how do we really know how good of an actor he is? I mean, I guess Leonardo DiCaprio is like a good example of like, here's someone who is like handsome and is well known, but is also talented, but has never, I guess, was appreciated for that talent until he like grew a beard and was like thrown around by a bear in The Revenant, and then people are like, wow, he's a really good actor. He didn't even care what he looked like. That's like De Niro, Raging
Bull. I guess
Bull.
It would be like superhero, like Clooney was in Batman, right? I mean, the chin is like a defining feature, so that doesn't really count.
Yeah.
But if you who knows if they're really in the suits? That's what I wonder, is like, is Ben Affleck walking around in that Batman suit, or is he just there for like the close-ups?
The close-ups, probably just the close-ups. No,
But take away, they should do like a masked singer thing. Be a masked actor, and then some of them will be like average-looking character actors, and other ones will be A-list handsome men and women.
And it's only.
This is not any worse than any other competition show. So I don't know.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
I feel like
I don't think we're I don't think we're very far away from a TV show that is who would you fuck? Who is hot? I mean, I know that's like the premise of a lot of those reality shows and dating shows is underlying beneath the like finding love and all that other bullshit that they want to do. Underneath it all is like who's hot? Who wants to get down?
You know, I know we talked about The Bachelor.
Yeah.
The Bachelor at length. But there's an update, by the way, on this is an important update on The Bachelor.
Yeah.
Have you
And now an update from The Bachelorette by Mark Dowell.
The first black bachelorette replaced the white one after she... No, but that's amazing. Yeah,
No, you're right.
It only took them to replace. That's insane.
Wait, they already had a black bachelorette, though, right?
I don't think so.
I thought they did. Am I crazy? Did they say they were going to do it and then did not do it?
I thought she was the one. This one, Tayshia.
Yeah.
I like Tayshia a lot. You watched the Island.
Yeah, I love Tayshia. Tayshia's great. I want to see if there's a list of Bachelor contestants. Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm. Well, they've had black contestants before, but I don't think they've had.
No, yeah. Like the main.
Because the main ones are always like borderline MAGA. Like, you know.
What do you mean?
You never. Their families. Yeah. Well, they don't talk about it on the show. But when they go home.
Right.
What do they call that again? When they meet the family? It's something dumb. Hometowns or something.
Hometowns.
I think that's what it's called. And then they go
some dumb shit.
Visit. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Well, good for them for being 30 years too late or whatever. But
right, of course. But that's the news.
Yeah, that's.
And I forgot how I. It was just, like, because I don't think any of those guys are attractive. I don't know about you, but I see a bunch of weird looking, like, you know, when somebody is like. Look, let's take like Aaron Judge, for example. He is like a model, right? But I don't think he's attractive.
Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should just preface this whole thing by saying subjectively, you know, it's hard to make objective statements on who you find attractive and not attractive, because there is such a I don't know if you've ever seen that clip of those two like morning news like anchors or whatever, and they're just like, Kate Middleton was voted as the most attractive person, or like has like the best looks or whatever, and it's two white anchors, and then on the outside of them is two black anchors, and the video is just them, and they're zooming in and they're looking at the camera being like, what the fuck? I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. By the way, there was a black bachelorette, Rachel Lindsay, and that was the 13th season.
What year? Oh, that was a long time ago.
Was it like a couple?
Wait, what season? Aren't we in like season 20 something?
16. It was like.
Oh, that's it.
A couple years ago, yeah.
Well, maybe I read an old article.
I think you did. But I think like athletes, it's kind of it's the same thing with the George Clooney thing, where it's just like, how much is their attractiveness because of their talent in the sport versus just, you know, them on their looks. Like if you saw Aaron Judge and he wasn't, you know, someone who looks like he was cut from a slab of marble, and he was just some schlub making you a Subway sandwich, would you think of him as that more attractive just because he's handsome, or even though he works at Subway? Isn't that the whole premise of the dude who got arrested and his mugshot was like really hot?
Jared?
Is that his name?
Wait, no, Jared from Subway?
No, not Subway.
You mentioned Subway, and then you mentioned arrested. Right, I don't know where your mind goes, but...
No. There was this guy who was like arrested in Los Angeles. He was for like some gang activity things, and he did a mugshot, and he is like this handsome, like biracial guy or whatever with like blue eyes, and people were just like, whoa, he's really attractive even though he's a criminal. And then I
Hmm.
guess after being released on parole or whatever, he started modeling. So I
Oh
guess
wow.
you have to be like that attractive to be like to supersede a negative thing.
Well, I mean, which was the attractive serial killer? Wasn't there one that was like that
I
the
guess
ladies loved?
I guess Bundy was
Yeah,
that guy. Um,
but it didn't help him.
no, I mean, I maybe that's the way to think of it. Instead of being like, oh, George Clooney is so attractive because
Would
of his
George
talent.
Clooney get off of a murder case because
Exactly.
of how handsome he is?
Yes, or would people kind of look the other way and just be like, yeah, but he's so hot, even though he like uh, drowned all of those party goers on his yacht.
Hmm.
Like
Well,
I think that might land more on the on like how attractive this person is to see how people would kind of react. And I mean, that's what we say about like rich people. It's just like, oh, we only give them preferential treatment because we know they got a lot of money. And
yeah.
it's just like attractiveness, depending on what you find attractive, also matters in that, regard too. How many times have you been like, this ugly motherfucker shouldn't be treating me like this? But then if an attractive person does the same thing, you're just like, yeah, I mean, it happens. Shit
Hmm.
happens. Yeah, I
I
don't know.
guess so. I don't think I've ever been like
Oh, you're
this
very
person
attractive.
is
I'm just
this
gonna let you
this
slide on your
person's
bullshit.
no, more of the opposite. I've never like, oh, this person's ugly. Why are they telling me what to? That's like
No,
that's like a junior high
yeah. Oh, for sure.
yeah, like a junior high girl's like which like crushes another girl at a sleepover.
No, I'm thinking more in the context of like
Why
a
does
dating
Jennifer
or a
get to go
relationship
first?
thing.
She's ugly. Yeah. Wait, I talked
No,
over. What did you say?
no, I was saying I think that might apply sometimes in relationships or dating where you feel like you're dating up or you're dating down. Because like
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
You
I
mean
don't know.
like when you've seen a couple on a subway and it's there's there's that thought of like that guy is so short and so nerdy.
How could he? Yeah, how could he
Yeah.
meet this person? And
And it could
again,
be I've seen it with both with like two guys and a guy and a girl where like
oh, of
one
course, yeah,
is just way more attractive like yeah, I don't know. Personality. That's what it is. People are
or money
I
or
think
whatever. Like
well
again,
that's cynical, I guess, to think like, "Oh, he must have money."
I mean, it's cynical, but there's a reality to that. Where I mean, Anna Nicole Smith didn't marry that old fuck
Yeah, well,
because
I
he was
mean, now
attractive.
if there's a 25-year-old and then an 80-year-old, then it's not like,
Yeah, but
well,
she
he
said
must
she
have a
loved
real
him. Are we supposed to believe
yeah.
her because she said she really loved that old oil baron who had billions of dollars, who was going to die in 2 years? I mean, that's kind of like uh, you kind of use your own logic to it, where it's just like, all right, if they're both 25 and he's way more attractive than she is, maybe there's a ulterior motive. And I think you're right, there is a cynical nature to that, but I think the cynicism comes from a place of like, we've seen too many examples of people making what they would term, in sports of like, I don't want to hurt myself, but so I'm not going to do this thing, but business decisions. And I think we would all like to believe that all romantic relationships are based on romance and not
Mhm.
anything else. But I think the reality is that like sometimes it's maybe a little bit of both. Sometimes it's more, business than romance or whatever. And I think the dangerous part is when you start to come into the like, I'm duping this person thinking that it's a romantic relationship, but it's
Yeah.
actually a business decision, quote unquote.
I bet that guy knew though, right?
But again, you never know because we watch plenty of these shows where it's just like, you're on TV. How could you be such a fucking dope and expect this person to be into you or not be into you, right? So there is a
Hmm.
sense of like, oh yeah, obviously that old fuck who had billions of dollars and met this like young hot blonde, obviously he knew what she was all about. And it's just like maybe he really thought and really believed that Anna Nicole Smith was like really into him, and the money was just like yeah, it's part of it, but it's not the whole thing. He probably thought the ratio was like, she's into me 80% because of who I am and my personality, and 20% because of the billions of dollars that I have. And that could be true. It also could not be true, but I don't know. I guess it goes to how much do you believe the person when they say, "No, I really married for love," or not. I don't know.
It reminds me of a scene in the show Lost, where
Yes.
Hurley wins the lottery, but he
Right.
doesn't turn in the lottery ticket immediately. He first asks out a girl that he likes to see if she'll say yes before everything changes when he has
Yep.
the money. So he knows that she's going to date him for him and not for the money.
Damn. Lost.
So everybody do that.
Yeah. One of the quintessential morality plays you got to do. You got to
Yeah.
test them, because that's what the
All right.
relationship's all about, is just testing them. You know?
Yeah.
Would you fuck with me if before I had the money? Oh, gotcha. I won a lottery. You actually have a lot of money. As if that wouldn't change how they felt about that person. Like,
Well,
even though I love you,
didn't DJ Quayle's kind of like, he was like, what the hell, man? Because,
right? It changes the dynamic.
yeah.
I mean, it kind of, to kind of wrap it back up to George Clooney. You remember how there was a time where he was like going out with like a waitress. Like he had met a waitress at a restaurant and he started dating her. And this is like famous George Clooney, not like pre-ER George Clooney. And it's like, here's this, handsome guy who's been single and dated around, but he's never really settled down. And he meets this like waitress, and I think a lot of people were just kind of enamored by that fact, because they're like, oh, George Clooney is like a regular person, because he could fall in love or be in a relationship with someone who's not also famous and rich.
Right.
And it didn't work, but we don't know exactly why it didn't work, but I think there is something to that fact where it's like, if I'm a rich billionaire oil baron, the people who are only going to understand me is the people who are also in that lifestyle. And the people who aren't in that lifestyle, there's probably some hesitation, like you're saying, to get into relationships with them, because you're like, well, they might just want access into this lifestyle and not be interested in me. So it's almost like
Well,
doomed,
say you were a waiter, and then like, who's someone you like
Someone I like.
yeah, like
like
Demi Moore or something. Do you
yeah,
like
Demi Moore. Demi Moore, fresh out of GI Jane, hair shaved
Oh, okay.
off,
I see.
and
So
just
we're going back. Yeah, when you were
Yeah.
like 7 years old or something, and she comes up to you. You're 7, and she goes, "I want to adopt you."
I'd be like, bitch, who the fuck are you? I've never seen this movie that you're in that you say you shaved your head for.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, I thought you were
she had-
Sinead O'Connor.
like, I would fucking know who either of those women are at 7 years old. So she adopts me. I'm assuming I'm an orphan. She's not just taking me away from my parents.
Well, we changed it when you said it got a switcheroo when you said G.I. Jane. But okay, yeah. So
No,
she walks up to
I'm
you
not.
and she says,
Yeah.
she settles the check and she says, "By the way, my name is Demi Moore," and you're like, "Yeah,
Duh.
I duh." And she's like, "Oh my god, that was so funny."
I'm like,
then-
duh. You
Yeah.
used to be married to my favorite actor, Bruce Willis.
And she goes, "Well, I was just wondering if you wanted to maybe get a drink now." And then,
Yeah.
so what would you think? So this is like, I'm putting you in the perspective of Clooney's waitress and
Right.
him asking her out, because that's got to be like
Absolutely.
jarring, right?
As
Because
a famous
presumably the
person,
biggest movie star, yeah.
yeah, absolutely. You're right. Here's the thing. I'm a broke motherfucker, I would say yes to it in a heartbeat. Even if Demi Moore was like a, third string D TV actor who was like, "Hey, you want to get a coffee or a drink?" I'd be like, "Yes." But again, that does not mean that we're going to be in a relationship. That doesn't mean anything else. Like, I would treat it like I would treat any other situation where I would be like, I would take it step by step, and I wouldn't. I guess it would kind of be hard to not kind of think about like, flying on the private jet with Demi Moore to Hawaii with her extended family and hanging out with Bruce Willis and just living that lifestyle. I understand. I think that would be, and maybe where a lot of those relationships could potentially go wrong is you're intoxicated by the possibility of changing your life, basically, right? Just
Yeah,
through
because
this
you become
romantic
famous.
encounter,
Yeah.
right? And
Tom Arnold, the Tom Arnold.
the Tom Arnold effect, and he's
Yeah.
not the only one. The Britney Spears's boo, who was the dancer,
Oh, yeah, K-Fed.
K-Fed, Kevin Federline. There are countless examples, but I think it would be weird because you have two things you have to contend with, right? You have the actual relationship with this person, whatever it may be, and then you have like the reality of your old life, your broke boy life, your life before you met this person that you also have to contend with. That means like friends and family and work and all that stuff also have to kind of look, that changes as well. So it's like once you cross that line, I don't know, can you ever go backwards? Can you ever go back across that line? Back to the life where it's like,
have you ever
Mark
been
used to
dumped
date.
before?
No, but I mean, it's different being dumped by someone not famous versus like Demi Moore being like, it didn't really work, and it's just like now it's you, Mark, at Best Buy, like scanning Apple Watches for someone, and they're like, "Wait, didn't you used to be in a relationship with Demi Moore?" And it's like, "Yeah, man. I mean, what do you want from me, man?" I don't know. That seems like harder transition to go back after you've gotten a taste of it.
Yeah.
I think there's part of me that would be like, you think of the romantic aspect of it again, like we had mentioned, where it's just like, oh, you're finding someone that you connect with and that you want to develop a relationship with. But I think it would be naive to think that that was the only thing that you would be contending with. Like, there is a part of their life that is public and a celebrity, and there's financial implications. So all of that is part of that person. So like, not also looking at it as like a business decision. I think, I'm not saying weigh that over the romantic side. I just think that's part of the factor of it. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. How about for you? Let's say you are pumping gas, right? And you're in New York,
Yeah.
and someone with a Lamborghini drives up, and out steps out like an heiress to a shipping magnate, a Russian shipping magnate or whatever. And she's like, just bopping around in her Lambo, and you're filling her gas, and you like spill some like gas on your shorts, and she's just like, "Oh, are you all right there?" And he's just like, "No, it happens all the time, the nozzle." And you make some joke, and she laughs, and she's just like, "You're cute. Let's hang out." What is the situation? What are you gonna do?
Well, first I'm gonna change out of those shorts and put on pants like an adult.
But she likes you in the shorts, bro. That is a good question. Let's say you meet this famous person or this rich person or whoever, and they're like, "I like it, Mark, when you wear shorts." Do you have any agency as a non-celebrity, as a non-rich person, to be like, "Fuck no, I'm not fucking wearing shorts"? And they're like, "Mark, I like you when you wear shorts." And that tone comes with a monthly allowance of like $15,000.
Yeah. Well, then I guess I'd have to wear shorts. But I don't. In real life, I don't like shorts.
Yeah, I know.
But
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 again,
yeah,
that's a business decision, right? That's not a romantic decision to be like, oh, I'm going to put some shorts on.
right.
That's you calculating, well, I want to keep this going. Even if you are growing a romantic relationship, there is a business decision to kind of, that you almost have to like abide by to keep the romantic part, which also is tricky and fucked up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So I guess, yeah, I'd get in the car. I'd get in the Lambo,
In the Lambo.
and I'd say, "You drive." I don't know.
I don't know how to drive stick shift. Can you drive
Yeah.
me?
Well, yeah, that's true. I was like, I don't.
Sorry, can you drive me?
You drive me? I don't know how to do stick shift.
I got gas on my shorts. I'm sure. That's why I think it is funny because, and it's funny, but there's also sympathy for it too. Where you do sometimes see interviews with famous people and celebrities who are just like, it's so hard to like date people and meet people who aren't in the industry because there's an understanding that those people don't have. And even within the industry, it's so built on business decisions that it also can kind of feel like there is something untoward that happens in this relationship. And maybe that's why a lot of relationships seem to not like last as long as they do. I mean, that's true of like normal mouth breathers like you and me who would be in relationships as well. But there is that sense where it's just like, yeah, it would be kind of tough to also find someone who makes, $10 million a year making movies and also, wouldn't mind this or is comfortable with that. And there isn't a competition of like, you have the money and I don't, and I need to keep this going for that reason alone,
Right.
I don't know if I'm just coming off
Yeah.
very, very cynical about all of that stuff, but there's a
A
weird
little bit.
look, if Demi Moore, and she's like easily 20, maybe 25 years older than me, if she wants to holler at me, please, I'll slide into those DMs tomorrow, not today, but tomorrow.
Yeah, you got to give it a day. Just
Yeah, you gotta.
don't want to be too desperate. Don't want to be too desperate for the person who doesn't know that you're going to DM.
Exactly, but I do think there is something to that kind of dynamic that seems to like everybody wants to be normal and have that, but when you live that lifestyle, it's pretty much impossible.
Yeah. Well, let's live that lifestyle.
Yeah, I guess we could fake it till we make it.
Yeah. Let's max out some credit cards.
Hell yeah, dude. Let's do some check fraud and max out some credit cards, go on a shopping spree, and start DMing actors from the 80s who have kids and grandchildren right now. And just be like, hey, I'm that hot young guy that you would date normally in this stage of your life.
I'm game if you're game.
Yeah, we as a duo, we're like we're complete package.
We're the real life
Meseret.
wedding crashers, and yeah.
But instead of crashing your wedding, we marry you. We actually get married to you.
Oh right, we're good guys. We're not disgusting. We don't make crude jokes. We're not using you.
Yeah, of course not.
But
we're using you for your love.
So let's get married.
Let's get married. Fuck it. Let's get married.
I know we just met, but sometimes you just feel. And she's like,
just fuck it. Let's get married. You just start putting wedding rings on people. You're like, fuck it. Let's get married.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a show right there. Fuck it. Let's get married. All right.
Yeah.
Should we get started?
Let's get started.